Hello, my name is Muhammad Irfan, and this video is brought to you by Mavio. Follow us on social media and let's connect and build together. So, today we will be discussing about what is called Clinical Decision Support Systems or CDS systems. The purpose of these systems is that they bridge the gap between machine learning models or traditional clinical rulebooks and clinical action. So let's see how they do it. First, let's discuss two logical modalities. So there are two types of decision-making systems that we use in clinical data science. The first one is our simple rule-based systems. They are deterministic, hard-coded systems in which there are clear rules defined that if X occurs, then Y will happen. So the advantage of these systems is that they are highly interpretable because they are clear rules and there is a high level of clinical transparency in these systems. So they are simple, straightforward, hard-coded rules. For example, flagging high creatinine levels for kidney risks. But the problem with these systems is that they are dumb. They cannot make decision on their own. They cannot think on their own. So they are just hard coded. If a rule is not covered in these systems, they will just not know. On the other hand, there are machine learning based systems which are probability patterns. These systems are basically machine learning models trained on large amounts of data, and these models basically learn underlying patterns in that data, and then on basis of those underlying patterns they can make decisions, and these are derived from complex feature engineering. For example, predictive sepsis scoring based on vital sign trends and clinical markers. So and these are the two types of systems that we use for decision making in clinical data science. There are also hybrid approaches which combine hard clinical rules with predictive intelligence, and we use these for maximum safety and high accuracy, and also we want our systems to be smart. The knowledge representation in our clinical knowledge bases are of two types. First is the Arden syntax. It uses medical logic modules. It is basically a markup language used for the representation of individual clinical rules as discrete units of knowledge. So this is basically that hard-coded kind of knowledge base. And then we have the CQL or clinical quality language. It is a high-level human readable logic language. It is specifically designed for modern FHIR standards. FHIR is a fast, high interoperability rule. This is the global standard for currently for HR. So the importance of these is that they ensure that medical knowledge is standardized and portable across disparate hospital infrastructure. Then we have the interoperability standards. Interoperability basically refers to the communication between different systems, for example, a machine learning model and EHR. So, how good that communication is. And the standard for interoperability in clinical data science is FHIR. And the FHIR are for the modern global standard for exchanging health information electronically between systems. So, this is the modern global standard for communication in health data. And there is something called CDS hooks, which, for example, an API that allows electronic health record to trigger external logic during workflows. So these are basically API hooks attached in our normal EHR systems. And when an event occurs during the normal workflow, these hooks are triggered, and they in turn trigger an external logic. And that external logic could be our machine learning model, and or that could be our deterministic rule-based system. And that machine learning model or that logic will take our input from our EHR data and give us some kind of output in form of an alert or something like that. And that will be an insight for the clinician. So these events that can trigger these workflows could be opening a patient record, prescribing medication, finalizing an encounter. All of these normal workflows could trigger the CDS hooks, and these CDS hooks in turn trigger external logics which generate some kind of alerts or some kind of scoring, risk scoring. for us. So one problem with the alerts is that the alert fatigue crisis. So because these CDS hooks, as we discussed earlier, that they are triggered by normal workflow, normal events like opening a patient record. So these alerts are generated so often that clinicians ignore nearly all alerts if they are perceived as irrelevant or over frequent. Its consequences could be that missed clinical critical warnings, severe provider burnout, and decreased patient safety due to desensitization of the clinicians. So this is the alert fatigue crisis. So to tackle that problem, we use some what is called human factor principles, that these alerts that are generated by these external logics should be visible. Is the alert easy to see without being intrusive to the primary tasks? Because we don't want to disturb the normal workflow of the clinician. And clarity, does the clinician understand exactly why the alert appeared? So basically, is the alert interpretable? Can we explain that alert? And then actionability, does the system suggest a clear evidence-based next step? For example, order a blood culture. So these are the three principles that the alerts should follow, and these are called human factor principles. Next, we have Smart on FHIR. This is basically a platform, a framework which enables healthcare applications to run seamlessly within major EHR interfaces like Epic and Cerner. Epic and Cerner are basically two of the largest EHR systems. Epic is mostly dominant in the US market, and Cerner it covers almost 39 or so countries. So Smart on FHIR is basically a platform or a framework that enables this platform integration, that enables our CDS hooks to be integrated with these EHR interfaces. And the user experience, one of the application of the Smart on FHIR is that moving these are beyond simple pop-ups to integrated dashboards and at a glance risk indicators that live inside a clinician's view. So they provide with the user experience and they provide with the platform integration. Okay, so this is the whole pipeline workflow. All of this is automated, and let's look at every step and what is happening in this technical architecture. So first of all, this is the normal EHR workflow going. For example, a clinician could just open a patient record, and that event occurs. When that workflow event occurs, it triggers CDS hook, and that CDS hook calls out to an external service. That external service could be an API processing, that could be our machine learning model hosted on AWS Lambda or some cloud based machine learning model or processing. And that processing, that API that takes some input, for example, the patient's data is sent to that endpoint, and the logic is then applied to that data, and it generates an output in the form of an alert, and that is a decision, a card returned to the clinician. So this is the whole workflow. It starts from a normal event, a CDS hook is triggered, and it calls out to an external service. The external service makes a decision based on the data sent to it, and it returns an alert, a card to the clinician. Alert prioritization. So there are three priority levels of alerts that we use, because some alerts are more important than the others. Because we discussed earlier that these CDS hooks, they can be triggered with normal workflows, normal events, for example, opening a patient record. So we do not want to mix critical and most important alerts with the alerts that does not have that much of relevance in that situation, or not that important. So the level one critical are interruptive alerts. These could include severe drug to drug or life safety risks. These are the most important ones, and they interrupt the normal workflow of the clinicians, because these are the matters that require urgent attention. Then there are the level 2 moderate or soft stop alerts. These are suggested dosage adjustment, for example, based on weight or height or whatever. So these are important. These decisions need to be these decisions need to be made, but they are not urgent. So They do not interrupt the normal workflow of the clinician, but they are important. Then there is the level 3 or passive alerts. They are basically just informational sidebars for preventing screenings. So they are not that important. They are just suggestions from our systems. So these are the three levels of alerts that we use in clinical decision making systems. Okay, then optimization feedback loops. So 70% of alerts are accepted and 30% of alerts are overridden. And the reason behind these overridden alerts are that the patients are already treated. It could be that the alerts are not relevant to our context. For example, if the alert returns the BP level or the blood sugar level of it is based on blood sugar or blood pressure level of the patient, while the clinician is working on sepsis diagnosis, so that alert is not relevant to our context, so they will be overridden. So that is why the overridden alerts are so high. They are 30% of almost all the alerts are overridden. Next, we have this case study of sepsis risk analysis and how we can implement this whole pipeline for sepsis risk analysis and what impact it will make. So the implementation is very straightforward. A smart SDS hook is attached in our EHR system, which delivers a real-time sepsis probability score directly into the patient chart. So basically, first of all, what we will do is we will train a machine learning model, or we will have some pre-trained model which calculates the probability score of sepsis based on some clinical markers. So we will put a smart CDS hook in our EHR systems, and when that hook is triggered, some these clinical markers or these information about that patient will be sent into that model or that API endpoint, and it will return sepsis probability score back to us. So the impact will be that this will be an early warning system or an early detection of physiological deterioration, and it will enable standardized treatment initiation hours before clinical collapse of the patient. So this is basically, this could be an early warning system for the clinician. And the cloud strategy for us could be that we can use serverless real-time data processing for high availability. So we can use AWS Lambda or some other AWS services, and we can host our probability score calculator or probability scoring model. We can host it on AWS or some other serverless real-time cloud platform. So the summary and key takeaways. So the key takeaways from this lecture is the workflow. First, a CDSS is only effective if it integrates naturally into existing clinical workflows without adding friction. So we discussed about how these hooks are attached in normal EHR systems and how these should not be interrupted with the normal workflows of the clinician. Then there is the standards that FHIR and CQL are essential for building scalable hospital agnostic healthcare solutions. And then there is the next steps. So this was all about CDS systems and how CDS hooks work. Okay, so this is basically a mock example of how these CDS hooks work. So this is not a real example, this, but just a mock example. So there is this mock EHR trigger. This is the CDS hook, which is integrated in the EHR systems. So basically, when an event occurs, this function will be triggered. This hook will be triggered, and it will take the patient's data, for example, resource type, its patient status, code, value, quantity, and all of this patient data will be taken to that endpoint to which this EHR hooks calls out. So then there is the CDSS rule engine. So this is our API endpoint that will be hit with the data. So the data goes to this endpoint, and this could be our machine learning model, or it could be a deterministic rule book. Here there is a hard-coded rule. We have written that if creatine value is greater than 1.5, then return this is the alert. This is basically the decision, the card that is returned to the clinician. So if we run this, we can see that alert sent to EHR, and this is our card. Based on this patient's data, the creatinine value is 2.1, and if the creatinine value is greater than 1.5, then this is returned. Potential acute kidney injury, and the indicator is warning, and the patient's creatinine is 2.1. This is the explainability which we were talking about. So this is the kind of card that the clinician will get. This is obviously a simple data in JSON format. The clinician will obviously get this data on a dashboard, so it will be more cleaner and more user friendly. This is just a mock example of how this workflow works. So this is our trigger, which is integrated in our EHR systems, which collects the user data and sends it to an endpoint. And this is our serverless endpoint. It could be a machine learning model hosted on cloud, or it could be a rule-based system, for example, on AWS cloud. So the data will be sent into this rule engine, and this rule engine will then return a card, a warning card, to the back to the dashboard of the clinician. So this is just an example of how these CDS system workflows work.